see it. Yeah, I got to watch the game last night. It was a hell of a game. Duke won. They beat Houston in the Final Four, what was it? Sweet 16. Sweet 16, man. Anyway, this is DeJuan HODL. We're back in here with another video. It is probably the last day of March. First quarter is in the books for 2024. Your Kobe, my Kobe. I can only speak for me. My Kobe Bryant Mamba year. As this is the year where I have relentless effort, relentless optimism, relentless focus on reaching the end game, the end goal. And I hope you have the same mentality too, the Mamba mentality for 2024. Last year was a Jordan year, 23. This year's Mamba year, 24. So shout out to y'all who are watching this video. I know that you probably made it to a point in your cryptocurrency Bitcoin journey, pretty much blocking out all the noise, blocking out all the friends, families, naysayers, critics, people who had something to say about your investment decisions, your capital allocation decisions, or even your focus. And you decided to look into something that was going to be something that's going to be beneficial for your future and the future generations that you are blessed enough to spawn. And if you're doing that by allocating towards Bitcoin still to at this price point of $70,000 all-time high, then I would implore you to do that responsibly and at least allocate a portion towards your stack as non-KYC Bitcoin. You can do that through a decentralized exchange such as HODL.com, and that is a peer-to-peer exchange for Bitcoin trading. You simply just find somebody who's you're a bidder, and you find somebody who's willing to sell Bitcoin at a price that you desire, and HODL has an escrow multi-sig contract where you're able to send your funds to the seller of Bitcoin after they release the Bitcoin from the escrow contract, and they're only able to release it. They cannot take the Bitcoin out. Admins cannot take the Bitcoin out. It is only able to be signed for release towards you based on that initiation of the transaction. So once you understand that, you feel more comfortable. I've used HODL for nearly 12 months now, and have focused on building that stack. This has been probably the most relentless accumulation period I've ever been into, did, because I knew right after leaving Mexico in 2022, probably near the pits of the bear market, that I needed to stack because we were getting ready to get into some interesting times and out of this bear market. I knew once all the leverage washed out from the SBF debacle, from the Do Kwon Luna debacle, from the Three Arrows Capital debacle, all these hedge funds that's been holding all this Bitcoin, holding all these leveraged bets, cross-collateralized tokens from these smart contracts, and a lot of them was connected to Bitcoin. People had to unload Bitcoin. Companies had to unload Bitcoin into the market, and in order to try to cover whatever they had to cover until they eventually went bankrupt. And now all that unwinding has happened, and then we had to see how regulation was going to wash out. All of that has washed out, depressing the price of Bitcoin so much that I don't see any other reason why we will not see Bitcoin near $400,000 this particular cycle. Let's go. Now, this isn't an emotional video to get you hyped. This is just me recapping all of the fundamental analytics that I have been trying to keep people up to date with as they have come out. I talked about BlackRock partnering with Coinbase back in 2022, early 2022. I want to say still we were near we were in bull at that time, maybe getting close to the beginning of the bear. I talked about BlackRock partnering with Coinbase to come up with a interface a brokerage interface platform called Aladdin for its institutions, for its clients to invest directly into Bitcoin, and Coinbase would be the custodian. And that, from that point, when I looked up what BlackRock really was, and I found out who their clients were, which were institutions, big pension funds, hospitals, governments, you name it, then I knew that there was a flood of capital. This is before they even said, oh my God, BlackRock has access to trillions and trillions of dollars that could. I did the research, and I shared that while in Mexico, before the bear market even really kicked off. And I said, this is something very much to pay attention to. This is the floodgates for capital allocation into Bitcoin. And so now that we are here, 12 months, 13 months later, we're here. And this is something now that has panned out to new all-time highs. So I asked you, have you prepared? Have you done what you were supposed to do? Because now 0.01 Bitcoin is about $700. 0.1 Bitcoin is 7,000. And again, I think I think Bitcoin can get up over to $3,000 to $4,000 this cycle. And I wouldn't be surprised if it goes higher than that. So why? Because we're looking at a scarcity situation at this point, and we're looking at an increasing inflow of money. I'm speculating that part. I'm not speculating the scarcity. The scarcity is already written into the code. It's already written. The increased inflow of capital, that's what I'm speculating, only based on the expectation of the U.S. Federal Reserve to make its first interest rate cut in June. And it is still on par with that per Jerome Powell's, we got a fresh cut today, per what Jerome Powell, the chairman, said. Because the inflation reading for the U.S. did rise last month in February, but it risen based on their specific expectation or their specific metric they're looking at for inflation. So everyone else still suffers from the devaluation of the currency, but the way they see it, they're like, hey, okay, that's great. It didn't do it the way we were looking for. Subjective, right? So therefore, they will likely make their first cut in June. The American people will suffer even more from inflation, as I believe it will only stoke it as they cut rates. This will be front ran, and or there will be a direct reaction of big institutions who have much money on their balance sheet to try to maintain a store of value, and they will go towards Bitcoin, just like we've seen in 2020, the previous bull cycle, when interest rates got dramatically slashed to 0% in response to the COVID pandemic. And so I'm not saying we're going to see that drastic of a slash, but we're going to start seeing a reversal, and markets, equities, risk on assets are going to go bananas. Because I'm telling you right now, I have been sitting with clients for the past 12 months, taking all of my fiat that I've mined from a 9 to 5 and acquiring the hardest asset known to man, Bitcoin, for just to prepare for this, just to top off the stack. And I've noticed clients have sat with me, and they have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars that they want to get a decent rate on. And once that rate starts to change, if they're not locked into a fixed rate CD, once that rate starts to change, they are going to go more risk on, because people have a lot of capital, they sell in real estate, they got generational wealth, and they want a return on that money, and they don't want it to sit there earning close to 0 or even 2% they're not satisfied with. Hell, people are not even satisfied with 3 no more, and I understand why. So let's see how that plays out for Bitcoin, especially with ETFs being an option for these people who are going to be looking for this return, because they're not accustomed to Bitcoin as a technology, as a raw commodity. So they're going to be looking at the ETF that'll be presented hopefully by their investment advisors. With that, with the prospect of other sovereign nations that could likely come into the game and want to join in, man, I'll tell you what, this is a recipe for potential fireworks. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, I'm over 10 minutes. Talk to y'all soon. Peace.